Okay, I know I'm a minute early again. Hello. It's because I'm trying a brand new streaming setup, and I'm worried that it's going to take a little time to get it to launch on my end because I'm trying it direct from my streaming service, not through Zoom, so I can get rid of that annoying little Zoom logo. But I just noticed in my little test that it takes an incredibly long time for the actual YouTube video to load on my end, which it just did. So now I'm going to open it up and get comments loaded. So this might be the first and last time I do this, since it seems like an awful lot of hullabaloo just to not have the Zoom logo in the lower left-hand corner. Oh, by the way, this isn't like a weird, I don't know, tumor. It's my mic. Oh, and of course it's saying something went wrong. Okay, that's great. So now I don't even know if I'm live. So yeah, this was really not worth trying to get rid of the Zoom logo. So I'm going to try to load one more time. Still saying, oops, something went wrong. So I literally have no idea if I'm live yet because I can't find my own channel. So here we go. One last time. And then if I can't get it to load, I might log out for a second and come back via Zoom. So annoying. Yeah, really, really annoying. Anyway, in case anyone is actually here, hi. I can't see who's here because I can't get this to launch. I'm gonna try it again. See if I can get it to launch so that I can actually see if I'm live and I can see the comments. So here we go. Let's try it this way. Okay. Yes, I am actually here. Oh, okay. Hi. So sorry. All right, I think I now know what I did wrong. And I see the comments, and guess what? Tony, Diane beat you into the room. Diane, this is a first. Can I just say, no one has ever beaten Tony into the room. So, wow, that's a first. Okay. All right, now folks are coming in. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was like the worst start ever. But I think I know what I did wrong, so I think I can fix it for next time. So there, this mic is really weird. It's actually hanging off of a necklace because the one thing that I cannot do with my little stand-up Audrey Hepburn collar is clip a mic to it. Tony, I'm sorry. Diane beat you in the room. At least Diane was the first one to comment. Look again. Uh-oh, there's a throwdown. Hold on, let me scroll back. Ooh, maybe I'm wrong. Well, I don't know. I mean, on my end, Diane's Hi Patty comes up first. So, Tony, you'll have to see in the playback because I know that your own comment shows up for you first. So it might be, sorry. Now I've started, look at this. I've been away for 6 weeks and I just start a fight between Tony and Diane right off the bat. There you go. Hi from Devious Knitter from Boston. Oh, no, you didn't move to Boston. You're just traveling. Okay. Hello. Hi, you guys. So much to tell you. So much going on. And also so behind on my book. So I'm not actually going to stay super long. Oh, hissing. You know what? I put the fan on. Hold on, let me turn that. I put the fan on under my computer because, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I may go silent for 1 second. Okay, I switched mics. Hello? I switched mics, hold on. Now I need someone to tell me if you can hear me. And Anita, yes, I'm going to answer about the collar. back there in a second. But now I need for someone to tell me if they can hear me after I've switched mics. Okay, good. So I didn't have this mic on. I accidentally had my internal mic on. It's all terrible. It's all completely terrible. You know what? Can we do this? Can we pretend we're just starting? Okay. Hi, welcome to Knit On with Patty Lyons. I'm so glad to see you. We are just starting now. Everything that happened before that didn't really happen. So I will put in notes, fast forward until, and then we're going to pretend this is the beginning of the live. I'm not going to edit it though, because if I edit it, I'm going to try unplugging the fan too, but I think it was mostly about the fact that I didn't have my external mic plugged in. I'm going to pretend everything else is not here. But if I edit it, I just found out if I edit the video, I lose all of the comments. So I don't want to lose the live chat. Okay. So Anita, I'm going to answer the question about the sweater in the back. I'm going to answer all of your questions. Oh yeah, I unplugged the fan underneath the computer. It's weird weather here. It's humid, but it's humid and chilly at the same time because it's been raining. So everything in this office is wet, including, I'm so glad I don't have a, should I actually show you? It'd be horrifying to show you. Maybe I should show you. No, I'm not going to show you. No, I'm not going to show you the pile of sweaters in the corner. But I do need to show you, you spy brioche. Yes, you do, Kathy. Oh no, I did lose one camera. Hold on. Oh God, this is all such a mess. I lost one of my cameras when I switched. All right, there you're going to see brioche later. Although the color's crazy, which I'll have to fix. Everything's wacky. So this is what I was not going to show you, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. Because I haven't unpacked yet hold on, let me see if I can aim it up. Yeah, I haven't unpacked yet from Affinity. So that is a giant just pile of sweaters that have yet to be dealt with. So there you go. I have yet to deal with most of my unpacking because I had to hit the ground running. Because the second I came home from Affinity, it was time to launch Charade Brioche. So these are the two things I want to tell you about. I know I took a little longer away from all of you, but that was because I was getting ready to run Affinity, my very first live retreat. So as you all know, most of you remember, my first live retreat was supposed to be in 2020. And we all know how that turned out. So I turned that one virtual. And then in, I think it was May or June, things seemed pretty good around the US of A. As far as pandemic land went. We were vaccinated, things were good. I decided to open up registration, requiring everyone to arrive vaccinated, and that seemed like, at the time, with the Alpha variant, things were great. But of course then came Delta and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, for those of you who were at Affinity, I thank you so much for joining me, and I thank you so much all for being so diligent and so safe about arriving not only vaccinated, but with a negative test or having quarantined, and being so diligent about masking up anytime you were with anyone with a red badge. A red badge said, you know, please put on a mask before approaching me, because some people had you know, other health issues, or they were primary caretakers for people. So I thought I just would show you some pictures. Now, I have only a handful back, and most of these were taken by me on my lousy phone, or were the handful that I got back from my professional photographer. So I had this brilliant photographer join us, and she took thousands of pictures. And so she said it's going to take her a couple weeks to go through them. But I just wanted to share a few with you. So I'm going to pop on over here to the slideshow. So this was the day I arrived, and the weather was just like freakishly perfect that day. It was a perfect Maine day, kind of warm, 70 degrees, but chilly in the evening. Just everything about it was perfect. That's the lighthouse. Oh, that's me in the Saugerties cardigan. This is when we're setting up, and Francesca took a shot of some of the samples, and that's opening night. This is me opening night. We had game night, which was really fun. I did this crazy bingo situation. I'm going to pause for a second. I did a crazy bingo. I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this a little bit and move it up. This was our game night bingo card. And what I did was I had these bingo cards custom made, and it was part bingo, part trivia. So it wasn't as simple as me pulling out a thing that said T, SSK. Oh, no. It was trivia. So what I would do is I'd pull out a question, and I would say, garter stitch there, K. I would say, K, this stitch was used to create a band of fabric originally used to hold up stockings. So I had like 3 rounds of that. It was really fun. But I came nowhere even remotely close, not even the tiniest bit close, to using all of the questions that I made. So we're just going to have a lot more. So game night was really fun, and we gave away tons of prizes. So many prizes. The sponsors were great. That's a winner grabbing from the bag. We had a swatch table set up. So I'm going to go back to the swatch table for a second. One of the things, one of the live and learns about the swatch table was I thought, oh my goodness, I have so much yarn. I'm going to bring just a ton of yarn and put it on the table called Inspiration Station, and load up with Stictionaries. And the sign said basically, help yourself to any yarn, grab a Stictionary and jump in and play, right, for the sake of being inspired. But then also help yourself to yarn for charity knitting. And I made it clear I'm not taking that yarn home. But what I should have done was told everybody, and I'm going to do that next year, told everybody, like, hey, feel free to bring any yarn you want to get rid of, because y'all have yarn you need to get rid of, which I know, and now I think that would be fun. This was one of my favorite classrooms. This is called the Clipper, and the Clipper is just this old, gorgeous, oh, my rewind is really bad. This old, gorgeous building, this beautiful barn. And one thing that we really wanted for our classrooms, particularly this year, is that all the venues have windows on either side. So the windows were open at all times. So this was this beautiful barn where we also had our marketplace. So that was great. That was Kate Atherley's classroom. And the grounds were just stunning. I'm just always like clicking photos in Maine. That was the main lodge, and that's where Nora had her classroom. That's the gazebo, one of the great spots to knit. This is the Cornelius room where I did my classes. Oh, there's Nora looking adorable and sassy in her little dress. There's Mary Jane Mucklestone rocking the Fair Isle. Oh, and this is the porch of the main lodge. So the porch of the main lodge is another one of my favorite spots to knit. It's filled with rockers, these beautiful rockers, not like old rock and roll stars, but rocking chairs. Sorry, thought I'd specify.
And it's just one of my favorite places to knit. I did not take a picture of my all-time favorite place to knit, which is the top of the lighthouse. I forgot to take a picture of that. And I don't even know if Francesca was able to take a picture. These are the chairs outside the ice cream stand, another one of my favorite spots to knit. So there's just so many spots. Oh, this is another one of my favorite spots to knit, the chairs outside of the main lodge. This was fashion show night, which was crazy. And as you can see, not all the garments are completely finished, and that is okay. That is what we call being on trend, because it's very fashionable to not have your sweater finished in time for fashion show. So that happened all the time. We had such beautiful, beautiful things. We had, you know, Fair Isle and lace and cables. We had weaving. Oh, this was a double. She had entered. This is Yasin, and she had entered the shawl, but it did not escape my notice that she was wearing the Rose LT underneath her beautiful shawl, which was gorgeous. Oh, this shawl, I think she designed this one, as I recall. MJ rocking one of the sweaters from her book. Oh, another gorgeous shawl, just insanely gorgeous. Oh, and then at the end, we had, obviously last year's fall video sweater class was called Affinity in honor of what was supposed to be my first year. And we had so many affinities in the fashion show. We took a big group photo at the end, which I haven't seen yet. Oh, there's the back of another affinity. There's Kate in class. She taught brioche, and we're going to talk about brioche in a second. Oh, here, now we're in the marketplace. This is Stephen Willett stuff. So the clipper magically transformed to a marketplace, and we had 3 yarn vendors and 2 non-yarn vendors, and it was absolutely gorgeous. We had Stephen Willett with all his woodworking. We had Long Island Yarn and Farm. There's Tabitha there. We had Anzula Fibers. There's Anzula. And we had Northlight Fibers. And I don't have a picture here. It's actually, oh, there's Northlight Fibers again. Then in the back we had Five Borough Yarn. There's Long Island Yarn and Farm again. But we had Five Borough Yarn showing her non-yarn stuff, her bags and all these things, which were adorable. But then I'll tell you about Sunday in a second. This hilarious knitter discovered that the pockets of Saugerties cardigan perfectly fit the 2 DVDs that she just purchased. So that was hilarious. Oh, another affinity, just rocking it out by the water. And there's the lobster bake. So a lot of folks don't think lobster is just putting lobster in a pot of boiling water. But that's not kicking it traditionally for Maine. So they do a traditional lobster bake. And we didn't have it in the clipper, which is where the lobster bake actually happens right outside of the clipper. So if we had, if I hadn't had the market in there, maybe I could have had the lobster bake in there, but it had to do with keeping the rooms, keeping only the rooms that were fully with windows and everything. So it was a lot of, it was very complicated. There was a lot of COVID thinking behind there. But this is where the actual lobsters bake, which is very cool. Then we had teacher Q&A, where people rocked us with hilarious questions, super embarrassing but really funny questions. And this was the KAL kickoff. So this is me wearing the sweater as designed. I'm going to tell you all about that. And then on the mannequin, we have a customized one. I will tell you all about that in a second. So that was the knit-along kickoff. And this was the Sunday surprise pop-up market with Five Borough Yarn. So Lindsay Vega, some of you may remember, there she is looking totally adorable. How many of you, pop a note in the comments there, how many of you remember the quarantine live I did with Lindsay Vega? Anybody? Anybody? So I met Lindsay, I think it now 3 or 4 years ago. Time literally has no meaning. An event called Stitch Up Brooklyn. And I thought she was so, she like eluded light. and I loved talking to her. I loved hanging with her. And then I met her again virtually via Zoom when we were getting ready for Knit and Escape. I was doing the teacher training and she was one of the speakers. And so then I invited her to do a YouTube Live. And she was just so spectacular. And at the time, and I didn't really say this in the live, but at the time she was exactly what I needed to hear, which is I was really stuck, and I was wallowing just a little bit. It was pretty in pandemic land, and I had lost my knitting mojo, and I couldn't seem to hit deadlines and get stuff accomplished. It was just really hard to move. And then in comes Lindsay. And Lindsay starts talking about how she taught herself yarn dyeing. And then she thought, oh, and then it'd be interesting. I want to learn graphic design because now I'm going to be designing these bags and these stitch markers. And I'd say, oh, how did you do that? Oh, I took this class and I just did that. And, all the time she's raising kids and, her story is amazing. She was unhoused for a while in the New York City, shelter system. She got herself out of that. Anyway, she's amazing. So I invited her to be our keynote speaker on Sunday. And because I had already invited the 3 yarn vendors, I couldn't really add another yarn vendor to the market. So in the market, she brought her bags and her Notion, her all the logo stuff she designed. There were Notions pouches, there were large bags, there were mugs, there were stitch markers. Oh my gosh, she had so much stuff. But then I did want to show her yarn. So Sunday she had a pop-up market before and after her talk, which was just so much fun, so incredible. And she shipped home virtually no yarn. She sold out of almost everything. She just had a few pieces that she took home in her suitcase. Oh, there's some of the ladies from the retreat. And this was after everybody left. Well, not everybody left, but this was after the retreat was over. And David, my husband, and my assistant / photographer, Francesca, just had the evening to sort of pack and recoup and have dinner and go through notes and do our final budgeting. And we got to see a final sunset over the water, which was stunning. And the next morning, and then that night we did candlepin bowling, which I might add, I'm mulling over doing an add-on. So by the way, is anyone here in comments? Was anyone here at Affinity? Oh, Carolyn says she's coming next year. Yay. So I'm thinking of doing an add-on day. So one thought is that the retreat would be the same schedule, the Thursday through Sunday schedule, but then there would be an add-on from Sunday evening through Monday midday, where Sunday evening, and the add-on would only be limited to like maybe 25 people and be like purely a fun relaxation day. And one of the things we might do in the evening is game night at the recreation center, which has candlepin bowling and pinball and, table hockey, and maybe doing like a pizza party thing in a tent outside and doing game night. And then the next day, maybe doing like a morning breakfast, just knitting, chill time, and then a boat ride maybe. So anyway, I'm mulling that over. But we did do some candlepin bowling. And then the next morning was impossibly difficult to leave because the weather was so beautiful. I mean, 74 degrees, sunny. That's David, that's my husband. And that's the lighthouse. That's my favorite spot to stay. And on the upper level of the lighthouse is the greatest place to knit. So anyway, that's Affinity. So it was crazy and not going to lie, difficult. It was tricky. There were a lot of tricky things about safely running a retreat in COVID. One of which is the resort was, less than half staffed. So the job they did taking care of us at 50% capacity of staffing was unbelievable. But anyway, so I wanted to tell you guys about that. And then, of course, Charade Brioche. So this is the new video sweater class. I decided to turn the music off on this, so I'm gonna talk. So here it is. Got a lot of different levels possible because I've created like a big buffet. So we have the brioche trim. The main class has 40 plus lessons. Of course, the pattern's fully charted and written, everything. We've got videos in every single sweater scale you could think of, and a lot of really detailed from the very beginning brioche lessons. So we do brioche basics and brioche chart reading basics, and then, we're gonna learn how to rock. I'm just gonna pause it for a second. We're gonna learn how to rock brioche for Western and combination knitting, and I'm even gonna show it to you backwards. So a lot of brioche knitters are told if they're combination knitting that they can't do combination knitting brioche. That's just not true. So if you've never done brioche, I don't want you to worry, because we are going to start from the very foundations of what is brioche. We're going to go through all your foundations. And if you've knit brioche before, but you haven't really understood the why, then you're going to really understand the why so that we can, of course, be comfortable fixing mistakes in brioche, which is really important. So the class comes with two options, and someone noted, Carolyn said, hey, is that a different collar? So I'm just going to pause this for a second. So there's the basic class, and then there's a customization add-on. So you can get the bundle, which comes with both the full video sweater class and the customization module. And that's going to go into so much more about design, your design standards, and fit and measuring. But really, the star of the show is the customization spreadsheet. And with the customization spreadsheet, you are going to be able to do your own pattern, which is going to be awesome. So with that, you can put in your own gauge, your own measurements, and it will kick you out a custom pattern. So I'm really excited about that. So the idea is basically, and by the way, here's the, this is where we can find everything. education.pattylyons.com. So with the customization bundle, what I did was I designed this whole customization spreadsheet. And with that spreadsheet, you just fill in these handful of peach squares. All the other squares, the formulas are locked and built in, and it does the math. So there's a lot of variables that you might come to. One, I'm just going to get rid of this for a second. One is, say you match the stockinette gauge, but your brioche gauge is different. How to get from your gauge in the brioche to the stockinette. Or say you want completely different measurements. What this sweater is my fully customized version. This obviously has long sleeves. I made it long sleeves, which means it's a long tapered sleeve, so it only has 2 repeats at the cuff. The original design has the little, I put it right here so that you can bend right? The bendy joint. This has the little flare sleeve, so this has 3 motifs, and it's a little half sleeve. We also have 2 yarn options for different seasons, right? So I have, I'll just go to the overhead for a second. I have the beautiful holly. So holly is the silk cotton blend. But you know, I like to, oh, my head's gone. Sorry, hold on a second. I lost my head. I switched, everything went wrong. Literally everything went wrong. I switched to this view. I switched, so boring. I switched cameras at one point, and I switched layouts, and I lost my layers. So I'm just gonna put my head back in. Hold on. Adding my head, adding back my head, adding my head, making my head bigger. I swear, I actually logged in early, I got everything set up, and then everything went to hell. There you go. Okay. So this is holly, and this is what I'm wearing. This is the silk cotton blend. And you know me, I love to break rules. So there's all sorts of, you know, but I thought you're never supposed to, or you're not allowed to, or you can't. You know, I reject that stuff. So I don't know if you can see like how lovely and nubby this is. But for those brioche knitters who might say like, oh, but you're not allowed to do brioche in cotton. Yeah, no, you can. This is how it works up in the holly, and it's great. It's nubby enough that it really grabs that stitch pattern and holds it. This was my original swatch when I tried this 2-color braided cast on, which I didn't love, and then I ended up inventing this cast on that makes this lovely braid. So you get a video for that braid. And the second yarn, so this is the holly, and this is how it looks in the stockinette. It's kind of very nubby, and it's a perfect transitional garment like spring, fall. And then the other one, my customized version, is the Whistler, the gorgeous Taki Whistler, which is just so delicious. It's a wool mohair blend. Just 20% mohair for just like the tiniest bit of halo. And I'm doing so many options on this one, it's crazy. I also created an option for working the garment in the round, and I make a deal in the video. What we do is we add this one little purl bump, and then we learn how to do mattress stitch and make that purl bump go away, but it still has the structure of a seamed garment because it is still a seamed garment. It's just a seamed garment that was worked in the round. So there. And yes, Carolyn, this is one of the options in the customization module. I show how to pick up stitches with the color backwards. I also show how to get this bind off backwards so that the bind off braid pops to the front. And I still used the Audrey Hepburn inspired, hence the name Charade, wide turtleneck. But if you check my Instagram, and I wish I had thought to put these pictures up in this video, which I forgot, you'll see some of the preview knitters. So some of the preview knitters did a customization version. Let me see if I could do, well, it's going to be bad, but here, I'll see if I can, I'll do the worst thing you can do, which is this. Oh, it's terrible. Let me turn this light off. There we go. So this is one of the preview knitters, and she loved the brioche hem so much. What she decided to do was pick up stitches, and then she knit using the hem stitch a big cowl, and then she did a 3-needle bind off because of course she used the customization module to rock a scoop neck, which was very cool. So all of that is in the customization module. Also, because I wanted to offer so many different options, also in the customization module is an alternative brioche chart that's just the tiniest bit, all of this got crazy. It's just the tiniest bit smaller. So I really liked the impact of, here, I'll show you this one, of the big chart. But say, and I go through this in the video that's all about proportion. Say your row gauge is very large and you're short-waisted, right? Those two things combined. Well, if your row gauge is very large and you're short-waisted, you don't want a proportion where like you are basically dividing your body in half with that hem, right? So I have an alternative brioche pattern that's just a slightly shorter, as you can see, it's a shorter motif, and it is fewer stitches and fewer rows, so it's a little bit smaller. You know, or you could just use that at the cuff if you wanted. Basically, the world's your oyster. And something totally behind the scenes, generating a pattern for you. And you can't look at the elements and tweak and control. The reason I wanted to do it as a spreadsheet is you can pop in your numbers and then look and go, okay, well, I don't like how that comes out, because if I do this stitch count in the hem to this stitch count in the waist, the decreases are stacked too close together. Okay, oh, what if I did this many inches at the waist? Boom, click. Oh, everything changes. Or, and this is my favorite part, and I'm going to get to questions in a second. What if you're in the middle of knitting and you measure it in progress? You know, maybe you're like, did my row gauge change? And you pop it on, ow, this mic is poking me right in the neck. And you pop it on the blocking board and you block it in progress. And then you measure it and you're like, uh-oh, my row gauge changed. Well, if you just had something that generated you a pattern, then you might think, oh, I need to go and rip this out and start again. But with the spreadsheet, you could say, okay, now my row gauge is this, and it'll change the rest. And then you might say, okay, I'm going to keep the couple inches that I've knit, but now I'm going to adjust as I go because it's kicked me out a new pattern with all my shaping changed, all of that stuff. It's really, really fun. Okay, I'm scrolling back for a second. So Carolyn, I answered your question about the neck. Yes, it's a different neck. It's a wide turtleneck. Whoops. This one, knitting around, Tony, yes. Do you have any yarn recommendations that can be purchased in the UK? Oh, well, you can. The web ships to the UK, so I can't make a recommendation of local yarns. I don't know local yarns, but I know that Webs will ship both of these to the UK, and my UK knitters who've done my knit-alongs, you can check on the Rav group, and you can ask on the Ravelry group. I remember that happened during Gramercy Park, and someone from the UK asked, like, oh, was the customs fee really terrible? And somebody answered that it was like virtually nothing, so it was okay. Oh, about the collar, Anita. Yeah, Anita had a question about the collar. Yeah, and the other thing, when you go to Instagram and you see some of the other customization things that folks have done, and I'm just at Patty J. Lyons, but you just type in Patty Lyons, I'll be the first hit. You'll see all sorts of changes that people made. Some people made it more like a crew neck. They narrowed it and then just did, I'm going to fold it, like they just did a couple of rows of the brioche rib. I liked the, stand up. Audrey Hepburn inspired dealio. But the whole idea of the customization unit is you do whatever you want. So you can make long sleeves and half sleeves and work to a different stitch gauge, a different row gauge, change the brioche. But the other thing that's really fun is I had a knitter that if you look at the pattern, if you look at her finished garment, looks like it was knit exactly as written. And it was kind of, she followed the pattern. The pattern comes in 10 sizes, so there's a lot of coverage there. But the one thing is her brioche gauge was really loose, which can be kind of common if A, you're new to brioche, but B, she was using a slicker yarn, right? So when you're using, like, I think she was using hand-dyed, more like a superwash. And when you use a slicker yarn, brioche doesn't have anything to grab, which is why I chose the two yarns that I did, because they both are grippy. So her brioche gauge was very loose, but no worries. What that meant was she actually cast on for a different size for the hem, different number of motifs around the hem, and then she transitioned differently to get from the brioche to the stockinette. And the other thing is, we talk about controlling the size of your brioche with your needle size change. Because, oops, ow, sorry, I just stood on my mic cable and choked myself. Ow, that hurt. That was very professional. I'll see if you can see a little bit. This one flares out more. This one has more of a like peplum-ish vibe because I did more needle size changes. And then this one I wanted to be slimmer at the hip. So I eliminated the largest needle size. So instead of going from a US 6, 5, 4, 3, I just did the 5, 4, 3. So there's so much also in the sweater that you control with gauge. So, okay. Questions. Is anyone out there new to brioche? Anyone out there? By the way, is anyone out there scared of brioche and feel like, oh, I never could do that? Because I heard that so often at Affinity, at the retreat. People were very brioche hesitant. And this is brioche stockinette. So the other thing is that surprised a lot of knitters, that they thought brioche was only a rib fabric and something that was like very bulky and chunky. Because something somebody asked me was, how in the world did you do a brioche hem and then transition into the stockinette? It's because it's brioche stockinette into stockinette. So right, this is not a reversible fabric, as opposed to the collar here, which is brioche rib. So you've never done brioche before, but looking forward to it. Yay! Now, no need to avoid it. So the thing that we really break down, and I said this to someone at Affinity, is, have you ever done a yarn over? She's like, of course I've done a yarn over. I said, okay, so talk me through how you do a yarn over. And she's like, well, you know, I move the yarn to the front, and then, you know, by knitting the next stitch, that yarn goes up and over the needle. I'm like, okay, excellent. Have you knit a stitch before? She's like, yes, of course I've knit a stitch. I said, okay, have you ever slipped a stitch? She's like, yes, I've slipped a stitch. I'm like, you can do brioche. Brioche is moving the yarn to the front, slipping a stitch, knitting the next stitch, move the yarn to the front, slipping a stitch, knitting the next stitch. Really, literally, that's it. And of course, we do go through, obviously, we learn increases and decreases. And this is the hat that I made that I was going to name something different. And someone said, why don't you just call it the brioche? Why don't you just call it the Charade Hat? Because it is, of course, the same stitch pattern, but then it just does these fabulous decrease. Don't you love hats? Because it's like spirograph. Does anyone remember spirograph out there? I just love like the patterning that it makes Or like a kaleidoscope. Do you remember kaleidoscope? Is that what they're called? Kaleidoscopes? What are the things called? You hold like a glass thing and it had beads in it and you turn it. Is that called kaleidoscope? I don't remember what that's called. Anyway, so this is the same stitch pattern in rib. So here you can see what it looks like in stockinette, and here you can see what it looks like in rib. So of course in ribbing, it's not entirely reversible, it's slightly different, but it is, it also looks like super cool on the inside, right? So we are gonna start from the very foundations of what is brioche. And we're, great, Zanti's here. Zanti's here on the day that everything goes wrong. That's fabulous. Hi, Zanti. Where was I? Oh, I got so distracted by the fact that Zanti's in the room when literally everything went wrong because I tried a new streaming service. So professional. Anyway, so we're going to start from the very foundations of brioche, and once you see how it's built, and you know me, this is my thing, right? We have to understand how it's built, because to me, the only scary thing about brioche is the stitches that are sitting on the needle, not the fabric underneath, but the stuff that's on the needle looks weird. It doesn't look like normal knitting, because normal knitting, we have loops sitting on a needle, right? That's it, loops sitting on a needle. But that's not what we see when we look down for brioche, right? When we look down for brioche, we see some two-headed monsters happening. So, oh good, Jonty only joined me 15 minutes ago, so she didn't see. So you guys, everyone, don't tell her what happened. Don't say anything. It was all great, right, everyone? Okay, it was terrible. It was all terrible. So in brioche, I'm going to quickly pop around here. What you see looking down at the top of your knitting looks like a hot mess. So one thing you know I always say is sometimes a mistake in knitting is an advanced knitting technique you didn't happen to mean to use at that particular moment. So you know when you first learned yarn over and maybe you didn't do it quite right, and instead of your yarn simply traveling over the needle, you had kind of a mess where you had something that looked like that. But that's correct in brioche. You're going to have that yarn over instead of moving the yarn to the front and slipping a stitch, and that yarn, like in slip stitch knitting, looking like that. A wrap around just the base of the stitch. What you have is a yarn over with a stitch underneath it. And then in the next row, you're going to work that stitch, either knit or purl, and then slip yarn over the next stitch. So it's actually remarkably simple in two colors. The thing that I think is ironical is that often people will teach brioche and they'll say, well, for beginning brioche, we're going to teach a single color, and then you work your way up to two colors. Except the two color is where you can see everything so clearly. So the only thing that's difficult about brioche is when things go wrong. But there's only a handful of very recognizable ways that things go wrong, and we cover all of them in the video sweater class. And we cover every single fix in the video sweater class, whether it's missed yarn over, whether it's a yarn over going in the wrong direction, whether it's a dropped stitch in brioche. Because a dropped stitch in brioche ain't no thing. It just ain't no thing. So there. So I'm going to scroll backwards here. Oh, it is called a kaleidoscope. Okay, great. Excellent. Oh, what a great hat. Thank you. Haven't learned brioche, but I did download a tutorial. Well, if you get Charade Brioche video sweater class, you're going to get more than a tutorial. You're going to get all the lessons you need. So you're going to be totally, totally set. Oh, thank you, Connie. That was very sweet. Spirograph. I love Spirograph. Okay. The big trees for knitting. Knitting instead of normal needles. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is what I actually think Zonti, who's here in the room today, is the one who named this Swatchzilla. Or that might have been Michelle. Zonti, I can't remember whether you named this Swatchzilla or Michelle. And then I also had a swatch, a big giant swatch that was full of mistakes that I used for a class called Knitting ER. And one of them, again, I can't remember whether it was Zonti or Michelle, named that Frankenswatch. That was like an extension of Swatchzilla, was Frankenswatch. Anyway, so I hope I'll see you in class. Everything's on the new education platform, which means all the videos are not only streaming, but downloadable. You have all your lessons. Everything's there on one platform, kind of like, you know, when you used to take classes online at Craftsy or, it was Auntie that named it Swatchzilla. And then if you're in the middle of a lesson and you're like, oh, I have a question, boom, right there. Upper right-hand corner of the lesson is a little speech bubble. Just click the speech bubble, ask me the question. I log in and answer. I log in twice a day on weekdays, morning and evening, and then I log in once every Saturday and once every Sunday, although my husband will tell you that's a lie. That I log in more. But I'm trying to be good because I do have to write a book. And I am a little behind. Hi, Hillary! Which does bring me to the next thing I need to tell y'all, which is I'm only teaching 2 classes at Virtual Vogue in October instead of my usual 4. And I know I've been away. I know I was away for both August and September, and I'm sorry about that. July. They didn't have an August. I was away for July and I think September. One of the classes in October is already sold out. I don't know if the other one is sold out yet. I think as of this morning, there was still a couple spots in Patty's Knitting Bag of Tricks. But then I'm teaching Knitting Magic at Knit and Escape, all the magics of knitting. And I'm not sure if that one's sold out or not. That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. We go through Magic Lube, Judy's Magic Cast On as a toe starter, as a tubular cast on, as a provisional cast on. But after that, I'm going to have to step away from teaching a little bit so that I can finish the book. So I don't want you to be mad at me. And I hope you're still here when I come back. And last but not least, because then I totally have to get back to writing. Brioche is the queen around knitting in my mind. Is Rhinebeck. Is anyone coming to Rhinebeck? This is where I really hate the fact that it's a 30-second delay in YouTube, because I'm so excited to find out if anyone's going to Rhinebeck, and I ask a question and it takes like a full 30 seconds or so before it comes up. But if anyone's coming to Rhinebeck, I am going to put together a meetup, and it'll probably be, I'm thinking Saturday at 2 o'clock. And what I want to do is I want to find a better location for it where it's really easy to find. So next weekend, my husband and I are going to a fair at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds. So I'm going to scope it out and see if I can describe a place that's like super simple to find, because the meetups that I've had in the past, I had on the Hill. So for those of you who are coming to Rhinebeck, you know what the Hill is, but the Hill is large and it's really hard to find people. So I might do by the donut place, because that's an easy place to find, or I'm going to look around. I'm going to find an easy place to find. So I'll post that in my next newsletter. And I'm having such an old face day, by the way. I just unfortunately looked up. Wow. Oh, you guys. Do you remember Sleep? Those were good times. Anyway, I'm really tired. I will find a good spot for the meetup. And a lot of you guys are knitting the Saugerties cardigan. Saugerties named after my town here, just across the river from Rhinebeck. So if you are knitting the Saugerties cardigan and you're coming to Rhinebeck, I would hope two things. Thing one, you would come to the meetup wearing the Saugerties cardigan, which would make me cry that I would be so happy. Thing two, Green Mountain Spinnery is going to be there. And they would, Maureen and all the ladies from Green Mountain Spinnery would be so excited if you showed up at their booth wearing the Saugerties cardigan, and let them know how much you enjoyed their yarn, because I love their yarn. I loved working with their yarn so much. And I do have 2 more skeins of their yarn downstairs that want to become something. I think one wants to become like a kind of a circular yoke t-shirty, super unstructured thing. But I have to write a book first. I have to. This is crunch time. This is where my friend who used to write books would say, he gave me a coffee mug that said, "I work best with a gun to my head." And it was his version of, he said the only way he can write a book is after he's totally spent the advance, which I haven't, but then you have to write the book. So I have to finish the book. I'm sort of a third of the way done, which is not bad. That is not bad. But the heart of the meat, of the gist, of the creamy center of the book is still in front of me, which is really all the photo tutorials of the knitting tricks, which aren't going to be photo tutorials. They're going to be illustrations, but I need to knit each one, take a photo so that the illustrator can illustrate. What? Donna said Vermont. Vermont Sheep and Wool got scrubbed in person. Oh, I didn't know that. Donna, when was that? When was that scheduled? I didn't know that, because I checked the vendor list at Rhinebeck, and Green Mountain Spinnery is listed for sure. So maybe Vermont was Vermont earlier, Donna? Because I know they're listed, and they told me they're coming. So I hope they're coming to Rhinebeck. I know that Rhinebeck is shifting to a lot of their a lot more outdoor tented stuff. I went to a craft fair there on the Dutchess County Fairgrounds in June. And there's like a whole lot of land that I wasn't even aware of. There's much more land than we traditionally use for Rhinebeck. We use like one portion, really only about a third of the whole fairgrounds, which are ginormous. So anyway, okay, with the 30-second delay, does anyone have any questions? Oh, Carolyn, I hope you come this year. So much of it is outside. You know, I'm basically going to stick to the outdoors. So I hope, Carolyn, I hope you can come this year. And it might be a travel issue. I'm not sure where you're traveling from. You might be traveling from far away. October 2nd and 3rd is Vermont. Oh, really? Well, I hope Rhinebeck doesn't turn virtual. It wasn't going to. Fingers crossed. It's the 3rd week. I'm going to some live events up here in October. They're all outside. There's just great fairs and festivals up here. I have the Saugerties Garlic Festival I got to go to. There's the Red Barn Antique Fair I'm going to go to. There's an outdoor craft fair I'm going to go to. Yeah, and I'm basically going to stick to outside mostly, or some of the barns that are open on both ends. I think if I do the barns that are open on both ends, I'll pop in on Sunday, because Sunday's like, honest to God, like half the crowds. If anyone's only experienced Rhinebeck the first part of Saturday, you want to come later. Where's your videos at? You mean the videos for, you mean this new video sweater class, or just in general? So my website is pattylyons.com, and that's the home base for everything. But my education site is education.pattylyons.com. It's a sub-site, and that's where you can find Charade Brioche video sweater class, and you can also find Gramercy Park and Tortola and the Roselle Tea. And I'm going to be adding more and more and more classes. I have older content, both technique classes and project classes, that are going to move over. But the way the old classes worked, where they were just videos, links to YouTube embedded in the PDF. So people think, transferring content is simply taking the PDF and plunking it on a new website. No, 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 no. I'm building from scratch brand new classes. So all the videos some of the videos get reshot, some of the videos get re-edited, they all get subtitles attached to them, then brand new lessons are built, and so the whole thing is crafted as a fully interactive video sweater class. So each older class that I move does take kind of hundreds of hours to build. So I got Roselle and Tortola up there. I probably won't be able to move much more over there until after, this thing that rhymes with look and nook and sook and took. Anyone? Bueller? Is finished. So there you go. So the question is, how much extra yarn do we need for swatching? So first of all, for learning brioche, if anyone has ever done any of my video sweater classes, you always know I tell you to grab scrap yarn for practicing. So you won't have to use your real yarn for practicing the brioche. Just like all the video sweater classes, we practice on a little mini in Gramercy Park. So scrap for practicing. But swatching, you always want to add a ball for swatching. So I would add at least a ball of each color, always, for the 2-color. Because Webb's has an awesome return policy, first of all. But secondly, if you are doing the customization module, one of the lessons teaches you, how do I figure out how much yarn I need based on my swatch? And it actually teaches you that. It teaches you how to weigh the swatch and how to figure out the square inches. Because if you're customizing and you're making, so like this sweater, for instance, this is totally customized. It's between the 2nd and the 3rd size. It has a different number of decreases at the waist at the front than it does at the back, because I can. It has long tapered sleeves. It obviously has the changed neck, and it's an inch longer. So everything about this sweater is fully customized. So I need to know how much yarn I need for my fully customized sweater. So some people are waiting on ordering yarn, which I totally get, until they sort of think about designing their sweater. And the other thing I didn't mention, and I'm really bad at this, is every time I launch a new video sweater class, for the fun of it, I launch it as a knit-along. So we have a full schedule of when everything gets released. But because I want you to really think ahead with this sweater, just like Affinity, the sweater pattern is going to be released all at once. So sometimes in a knit-along, you'll get a section of the sweater released at different times, and that's fun. But here, I need you to think ahead so you can map out your thoughts, so you can do all that. the big kickoff is October 23rd. So it's on sale now. And what you get right away is you get all your introduction videos, all your videos on your swatching your stockinette and all that stuff, all your videos on choosing sizes, all that stuff. Then October 23rd, the full pattern drops and the videos come out on a schedule. We are going to have a cast-on party. So what I'm going to do is within the class platform, there's going to be a Zoom link. And what I'm going to ask is please only register for the Zoom to be physically in the Zoom room if you want to like participate, if you want to have camera and mic on, if you want to participate. Otherwise, it's going to be live streamed on YouTube. So 100 people can be in the Zoom, and the rest of y'all can be with us from home, asking questions in the chat. So there's going to be a cast-on party on, I forgot what time the cast-on party was, on October 23rd at 3 p.m. So that's going to be the cast-on party, but all that information is going to be in the class platform. And the other little tweak I've added for those that get the customization bundle is there will be a handful of one-on-one appointments you can book for an additional fee if you want to book a private lesson with me to talk through your design, to talk through your spreadsheet, to talk through your customization, all that good stuff. Okay, so let me catch up on questions, and then oh my God, it's 3 o'clock, you guys. I've talked for over an hour. I have to have a cocktail and knit a book. None of those things are right. I have to write a book. There'll be no cocktails. Aw, Hillary, that is so sweet. Curious about using a chainette yarn for Charade. Any thoughts? Yeah, chainette can be really nice because it's very lightweight. Lightweight meaning put it on a scale lightweight, right? The other thing that's nice about chainette is it's very flexible in gauge, right? Because chainette is air inside. I used a chainette construction for Tortola and for Harbor Springs. So you really control that gauge based on how much you compress it, the size of the needle. Which is why also, I'll show you in the overhead, the Whistler. This is another thing I like about Whistler. So when you have, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, when you have a yarn that's sort of lofty like this, notice how the distance between my fingers will change as I pull, doink, and the girth of the yarn changed, right? So that makes this yarn a more flexible gauge where you can knit it looser and lofty, but you can also put it on a smaller needle and compress it down. So that element really helps for brioche. The other thing you want for brioche is something sort of grippy. So both of these yarns have that grippy quality to them, the Holly and the Whistler. They both have that little grip. Okay, so last but not least, Anita said, I knitted brioche hat behind you. I knitted the brioche hat behind you. Not possible because the pattern's not released. So you knit someone else's design, Anita? Sorry. This is not, this pattern has not been released. So large that it fell over my head. Well, gauge. Gauge and materials, right? Because brioche stretches out. So if you choose a material that's not quite right for brioche, maybe it's too slick or it's too smooth, it's a superwash, it's something like that, it'll stretch out. So I think what I am going to do in the spring is I might hang on to both this pattern and a new pattern I'm working on downstairs, which is brioche, it's syncopated brioche, flat. And the spring knit along, I'm mulling over, instead of doing a sweater, doing a series of brioche accessories where we can really dig into like some fun techniques like syncopated brioche. Like I'm working on a one-pass brioche where you work both the colors at the same time, right? For those people that want to dip their toe in brioche for this and think like, okay, I just want to master brioche. I'm not going to get into like doing it backwards or anything like that. Then I might dig into that in the spring instead. So I might add a third accessory and do like a brioche accessory deep dive class. Might be fun. Okay, I gotta go. I have to go. So first of all, I'm really sorry about the hot mess that was the beginning of this. I think I understand now how I have to use this new platform for streaming. But you know what I'm going to be able to tell is when I look at the live and see how terrible the beginning was. That will be one way I can tell. So I also don't know how long the delay is for the end. So I'm going to get ready to wrap it up. And I feel like it's time to shorten our goodbye. You know, our goodbye grew over time. It grew over time as our knowledge of the situation changed, right? Originally it was, we all thought it was about surfaces. It was just wash your face. Oh, it was wash your hands, don't touch your face, knit on. And then it became wash your hands, don't touch your face, wear a mask, knit on. Then it became wash your face, don't touch. It's too long. And I want to move us, I feel like we're going to gently move into normalcy. So I want to just say, I love you guys. Get vaccinated if you haven't, and knit on. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. All right. By the way, if you want to laugh, do visit my Instagram and you can catch up on my ongoing, very loving battle with Seth Meyers. Yeah, it just reminded me of Seth Meyers because he always closes with something similar. I think he stole it from me, frankly. He always closes with something like, you know, something, there's a 3, something, get vaccinated, we love you. But yeah, if you want a good laugh, log on. There's an ongoing kind of knitting battle between Seth Meyers and myself that is a series of videos, and I have saved them as a highlight to my Instagram account. So on the off chance anyone does not follow me on Instagram, which you guys should be following me on Instagram. There's so much fun stuff over there. Hop on over there for a good laugh. For those of you who want to check out Charade Brioche, pop on over there. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Okay. Goodbye, you guys. You rock. Sorry for the hot mess.